how you doing? It's MrDoTheMath, and today we are going to graph quadratics. Alright? Do the math. MrDoTheMath. That's me. Alright, so quadratics. So quadratics are focused around functions that have x squared to it, right? You have the x squared, right? So the simple formula for the quadratic equation is quadratic formula is the equation ax squared plus bx plus c, right? Ax squared. The a term is always associated with the x squared. B is always associated with the x, and c stands alone, right? So here's some basic things about this formula here, this equation here. Keeps that formula, right? A is it lets us know if our quadratic is going to be either going up or down, right? We're gonna look at that in a second. B helps us figure out what the x value of our vertex is going to be, and C is always the y-intercept of your graph. It's always the y-intercept, right? All right. So let's look at it like this. All right. So the first thing we have to do is find the vertex, right? In order to find the vertex, we have to find the x value and the y value of the vertex, right? To find the x of your vertex, you use this formula here. So vertex x. The x of the vertex equals negative b over 2a. All right. Where does this b come from? B comes from this part of the equation, and the a comes from the beginning. All right. So this is how we find the x of our vertex. Right. In order to find the y of the vertex, it would be basically f of whatever your x is. Right. So you find the x first, and then you substitute it into the equation. Okay. So let's look at this example here. Alright, x squared minus 2x minus 15, right? So, this is your graph, right? This is your quadratic equation right here, right? So, the first thing you want to do is identify A, B, and C. Alright, so in this particular equation, A is what? 1, good. B is what? Negative 2, and C is
15,
negative 15, right? So these are things that you need. These are things that you need to graph this thing. You need to know what the y-intercept is. Y-intercept is negative 15. So that's 0, negative 15 is the y-intercept right here, right? It came from there, right? Now we're going to find our vertex. In order to find a vertex, it's negative b over 2a, right? Negative b is going to be negative 2. That's the b. Over 2 times a, which is 1. Everybody good with that? We all good so far? Huh. Alright. So, we're finding the vertex. Number 1, find the x. That's the negative b over 2a. Alright? Number 2, you're going to substitute into the equation. Alright, so the x is going to be negative 2. Negative 1 times negative 2 is what? Positive 2 over 2. Right? So the x equals what? 1. So the x of the vertex is 1. Right? Now, in order to find the y, you're going to substitute this x value into the equation, right? So it's going to be f of 1 essentially equals 1 squared minus 2 times 1 minus 15. Does everybody see where I got this from? This is the original equation here. We just substituted the 1 in for x. So 1 squared is what?
1.
Minus 2 times 1? Minus 15, right? So here we just simplify. So it's 1 minus 2, negative 1 minus 15. Negative 16. So y equals negative 16. Alright? Y equals negative 16. Right? Now, we have our vertex. Our vertex is at 1, negative 16. Our y-intercept is at negative 15. Right? Now, our A term tells us something. Now we're thinking about graphing, right? About the A. About the A. Right? If the A is positive, then concaves up like a cup, right? You got a positive parabola, right? Quadratics make parabolas, right? If the A is negative, concave down like a frown. You remember doing that? Awesome. What are you confused about? ABC. Again, A is connected to x squared.
I got that part, like the math over on the side, like after you put like A equals 1, it's like all that.
This right here?
Yeah.
This is finding the vertex.
Can we do it a different way though, but like still make equal to the y, moving over 15 and then dividing by 2 and then squaring that and then
I mean, maybe, but this is the way, so I'm doing it focused around the vertex.
yeah,
right?
that's how it's finding the vertex for the parabolas. That's what we do.
Well, it's kind of the same thing. Negative b over 2a.
That whole thing confuses me.
Okay, so, but here's the thing. If you use this formula, right, and you substitute your A, B, and C values for whatever goes in this formula, it's spell proof in regards to finding your x, right? And then you take your x and then you plug it into this right here to find your y, right? And so now you have your vertex. Now there's several ways to find a vertex. This is just one way to find a vertex. Yes, ma'am. What's your question?
Under find the vertex, the 2, what's step 2?
This two substitute into the equation.
Oh.
Into the equation. Yeah. Yes, sir.
The y-intercept that you put up there, what's that going to come into later?
So the y-intercept is going to tell you where your graph like crosses the y-axis.
Okay.
Right. It tells you where it crosses the y-axis. Right. It crosses the y-axis at 0, negative 15. Okay. Huh?
What does that F stand for?
What does F stand for? Just the function. Right. Remember in algebra 2 you had f of x. F of x and y are the same thing. F of x and y are the same thing. Right? And so this is the function in relation to your vertex, the x. Right? Our x is 1. So you put 1 in the place of x. And that goes through this, which is what we did right here. Okay? That's why I put f of 1. This is the x of the vertex. Right? We'll do another one. Let's do another. Let's find the vertex again. Alright, let's find the vertex again. Alright? I'll leave that there. Alright. Here we go. Let's see. X squared, give me an equation from, Alright. Plus 10x. Alright. We're just 21. Alright, let's just find a vertex. Right? Alright, first thing you want to do is find A, B, and C. A is what in this problem?
1.
What's B?
10.
And C is?
Negative 1 and 1.
Alright, so to find the vertex, we're going to put it into this formula here. Negative B, so it'll be negative 10 over 2 times 1. Right?
Negative 5.
So that's negative 10 over 2, which is negative 5. Right? Yes, ma'am.
Why is 10 negative?
Why is 10 negative? Because the formula is negative b over 2a.
Oh.
Okay? That's the formula. Alright? 10 was actually positive, but the negative sign made it negative. Right? So now, you take this 5, and you're going to plug it into this equation. So you're going to have 5 squared plus 10 times 5 minus 21. This is going to give us our y. 5 squared is what?
25.
25
Plus 50.
plus 50
Minus 21.
minus 21. Right? You got two 20s here, right? So that's going to be 4. 4 plus 50, which is?
45.
Right, 54. Right? So our vertex is negative 5 and
54.
54. Okay? That's our vertex. Yes, ma'am.
So, you said the negative is downwards, but what's the case when it's like, you know,
That's not a quadratic, right?
oh, okay.
That would be like a cubic or fifth degree,
Okay.
right? When it's doing stuff like this, or it might be like sine or cosine, right? But quadratics
Wait.
are either U's, upside U's or N's. Yes, ma'am.
Wouldn't that be negative 5 squared?
No.
Yeah, because you got negative 10 over 2, which is
Yeah.
negative 5, but you plugged in a positive 5.
But still be 25.
Oh, yeah,
Because
okay.
then wouldn't that be minus 50?
Alright, so that'd be good catch. It's negative 5. Alright, so, but negative 5 squared, thank you for catching that. Negative 5 squared is 25 still. Minus 50. Minus 50.
25.
Right? So then that's negative 25 minus 21.
So negative 54.
Negative what?
46.
Negative 46. Negative 46. Alright?
Yeah, you right.
Good catch. I forgot it was negative, right? But here we go. So now this is our vertex. Okay? Now here's what's special about our graph, right? They have this thing called, you guys remember Axis of Symmetry? Alright, Axis of Symmetry. So, if our vertex is at negative 5, negative 46, we won't make an axis or anything like that. But here's the thing. This is the middle, where the vertex is the middle of your graph. It's the middle of your parabola, right? Because x is positive, it's going to be going in this direction, right? Because this is the axis of symmetry, it moves the same way both ways. Okay? It moves the same way both ways. So, if your x starts at negative 5, you're going to go the same way here. So, it's like negative 4, negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, and then negative 6, negative 7, and so on and so forth, right? You're going in the same direction both ways. Does everybody follow that?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, so then if you were to make a t-chart, right? So typically, so for today we'll just use 2 above and 2 underneath, right? If we can start at negative 5 here, that's where our vertex is. Negative 5, 46, right? Let's choose a number here and a number underneath. Negative 4, and under here we're gonna go where? Negative 6, right? You substitute these into this, and you get your next one, right? So that would go. Let's see, negative 4 squared plus 10 times negative 4 minus 21. Did you say you was lost? Everybody know what I'm doing right now? Yeah, just plug it back in
You're
here.
just plugging in different x
Right,
values.
x and y. Remember your t-chart? X is negative 4, right? And then you do the same thing with the 6, right? X is negative 6. Right? So, here we go. Negative 4, 16, minus 40, minus 21. Right? 16 minus 40 is what? 24 minus 21? 3.
What?
Wait, negative, no.
That can't be right.
No. Negative.
Yeah.
Negative what? Negative 45?
Yeah.
Alright, let's do the same thing with this one. So, this is 36 minus 60 minus 21. 36 and negative 24 minus 21. Negative 45, right? It's the same thing. How? Because it's going the same place, right? It's moving the same way. Okay? And they'll continue to do that.
It just died.
Die. Oh, okay, cool.